important. You start thinking 5'10", balls batting down, all these things. And Russell had the lowest batted ball rate, coming out.
Yeah.
No, it's 6'5" guy.
It's a great human being.
Phenomenal.
Line up for your questions because this is about you, not about me. I got two more questions. Scott, you're at Seattle. You're comfortable. You win some, lose some, but it's a great organization. I know the passing of Paul Allen, things changed, but not really. It's still a strong organization. Seattle's an unbelievable sports town. You get a call. What's the next step?
So the next, what happened with Carolina? They interviewed 14 GM prospects before me. And I'm sitting down the street with John Schneider. We're watching the game, and I get a call from an unknown number. And it's Dave Tepper, who's our owner. This is on Sunday night, and he goes, "Hey, I'm watching an interview from you at the combine, and we'd like to talk to you. Can you meet with us tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock?"
Were you here?
I was in Seattle. I did Zoom at 8 o'clock in the morning. Hung up, went to the office. I said, "There's no chance of getting this job." And I was talking to John, and all of a sudden I had a flight ticket, that was emailed to me. Interviewed the next day in Charlotte. Got down there. Actually had to buy a suit because I didn't know that. Showed up in a pair of nice slacks and sport coat. And I realized, this is a real interview. So I ran down to Nordstrom. They cut a suit real quick and interviewed the next day, and I had the job. Really.
And you called your wife. Now that's hard with family. We were talking about family earlier today.
Right.
Moving the family.
That's the hardest part.
Yeah.
I have 2 teenagers, and so your family has to be on board. And to take your children, that are, I think they were 8th and 9th grade at the time, away from their friends, away from everything they've known. That's really tough to do. But they were on board. I think COVID helped because it was online school at the time.
Yeah. No, that's a good point.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds weird.
Yeah.
I said COVID's been good in our company. It really comes out wrong. With COVID, yeah.
We
Come on,
learned
COVID, right?
Like,
Yeah,
but they moved cross country with us, and it's really a sacrifice, on your family. It's exciting as they are for you. They give up a lot for you too. A lot of your time moving cross country from their friends. So it's really important to have the right people in your life.
So thanks for coming by. We take questions because it's about them and they're looking for career strategies and advice. Somebody give me a heads up when I'm done back there though, because I don't do good with the clock. Let's start here. Go ahead.
Oh, Lord.
Quick and
All the
fast.
pressure's on me right
Yeah.
now. I'm Thomas Stroud. I just graduated from Clemson University. Whenever I'm in school with a bunch of Panthers fans. So I understand you have the 6th overall pick right now.
Yes. You want to know who it is?
Hey, I'm wondering, because I want to be in your seat one day, general manager of the NFL team. And,
3 years. Just give 3 years. They'll be in the open.
okay, let's see. What goes into compiling your draft board?
That's a great question. It's a lot of work. We started with about 10,000 names. We belong to Glasgow right now. We're switching over to national, but you get 10,000 names. And from that, you can weed it down to about 2,200 or so. And then our scouts, they go out in the world. They start doing summer tape. They break it down. We grade schools A, B, and C, and how we're going to attack this. And then through that process, we kind of just whittle it down. We try to, get down to about 300 prior to the combine. And then from there, we're going to get down to about 150 on the draft board. So when we're making a decision, we're not going to build a board for what it looks like for the NFL. We're going to build a board for how it helps our team, how they can affect us, who can make our team. What level are they? Are they a starter? Are they a backup? Are they a guy that's a fringe player that's a good practice squad developmental type? But it's a lot of hours. It takes 11 months to go from 10,000 players down to 150, and it's our scouts do a tremendous job. As a GM, a lot of eyes are on you, but this is scouts that spend countless hours away from their family.
Good question. Next, in the middle.
Hi, I'm Dylan Gonzalez from Tampa, Florida. So I talked to a couple of scouting directors, Kevin Kelly, Ethan Wall, and Mike Shalifton for the Vikings. And I just wanted to see what y'all's scouting assistant process was as for an interview, as well as what kind of traits do you guys look for when hiring a scout? Yeah,
a lot of our interns or in-house scouts come from tons of different backgrounds. You don't have to be a football player to necessarily do that. We want to know what value you can bring to us, what we all have, blind spots or different spots. How can you help us? What value do you bring to us? A lot of times when we get resumes every day, and they do help. We hired both of our interns off resumes, but they were former players. If the best way to get in, if that's kind of what you're getting at, is go to university, volunteer, or whatever it is, grind for them, be proactive, go out and see the scouts, send them information, get their emails, get their phone numbers, send them information. And there's a fine line that you don't want to cross to where you're like pestering them, but provide information. If there's an injury on a player that week, send that to them. If there's information you think that might be helpful in their decision-making process on a player, send it to them. Because then you become valuable to them. They remember you, and then when that opportunity comes, they'll reach out to you.
Scott, we always talk about the ecosystem in college, even though you came at it differently. The ecosystem of working in the college football office is so crap. Next question over here.
Yeah, what's going on, Scott? My name's Gabe. I'm from Houston. This might be a little redundant, but just sort of backing off of that. I gave football up with some concussion complications. So what advice would you give to somebody who didn't play at the high school or collegiate level in terms of getting into scouting?
Just learn as much as you can. If it's volunteering, with a defensive line coach, just to learn that position, you can sit. They always need help. There's not enough man hours in a day, so take something off their plate. But as you sit there, you're going to learn from them. You can ask little questions, and after the D line, go to linebackers, go to the offensive line. But just learn the game that way. If you don't know the details of the game, that's fine. You just have to have the eye for talent and work ethic.
And Scott, we talk about digital video editing, Excels. We teach them analytics, earned shots. There's so many ways to break in football. You don't have to play the game in order to move up. Go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I'm Alexa from Boston. So I see a lot of GMs have their background in law and got law degrees, but you came up through scouting. So what do you think is the most important aspect when becoming a GM?
And don't forget Marty Herman.
Yeah, exactly.
Journalist.
You don't have to have a law degree at all. You need to have a work ethic. You need to have just the ability to just grind it out and make yourself valuable. Like I keep saying that, but that's the most important part. And bring something to the table. Have conviction when you talk, when you evaluate a player. Have conviction. And if it's not just in scouting that you want, if there's something in analytics, whatever. There's a lot of different ways to a GM chair. People come through PR. People come through the CAP. There's all different ways to do it. There's not one certain way to get up there. So just be really, really good at what you do.
Let's go to the middle.
Right. Hi, Scott. I'm Andrew from Bellingham, Washington.
Nice. My wife's from Bellingham.
What role does mental health play in your evaluations? Do you have someone on staff who evaluates the players?
We do. That's becoming more and more important to us every day. And we're seeing a lot more of it. And I don't know if we're seeing more of it or we're just more aware
No,
of
I
it.
think it's a good topic, and I think it's a great question. We get good questions here. We'll make it better here. Let's go over here.
Hi, Scott. My name is Jeremy Poe from Cleveland, Ohio. So I'm going to try to get to this as quickly as I can.
Well, hurry up. You already wasted an hour.
Right now, I've been working as a truck driver, hauling 12 hours a day while putting myself through school at Cleveland State, studying sports management, and also taking scouting, salary cap analysis, and analytics courses through Dr. Lashbrook's website. I'm motivated, I'm driven. I've been following football my whole life. I grew up in a family that all we do is eat, sleep, talk, and you know what, football.
What's your question?
My question is, what does a guy like me have to do to get offered a summer internship?
I'm going to answer for Scott. You can answer it. Hold on. You're here. You've taken courses, informational interviews. Scott, we teach them with an SMWW. You say John Wooden, Mark Dominic, and others. They get informational interviews. They meet people. They volunteer. Sometimes they go back to college and work as a graduate assistant to get the ecosystem, like Mike Zimmer did at Missouri or whatever. But I just want you to know we've created an apparatus. He's here doing the right thing. But I believe in information. Don't ask for a job. Ask for advice. And that's how you network. Your comments on that?
Yeah, well, first of all, I totally agree with that. Second of all, if we reach out to Lynn and he vouches for you, or there's a lot of different ways to do this, but having someone that can be a reference for you that says, hey, I know this guy, I know his work ethic, I know you can evaluate whatever it is, that helps.
You know what else I didn't
You're
tell
doing the
you?
right thing in doing this.
Scott, with NIL now, every player, high school on, has an agent, and every agent's a scout. And sometimes Uber drivers just pick up a passenger and they make money. And sometimes I've talked to a lot of people in scouting, start out as an agent because you're scouting. You get one player, like Matt Moore, you meet all the GMs. So there's a lot of ways to break in. Let's go back over here.
Hi, Scott. First of all, thank you for your time. My name is Tyler. I'm an intern with NFL Flag. I wanted to ask you, so I know scouts often break down just certain college players. I wanted to ask you if there's any value you see in them breaking down whole teams, maybe on an offense or defensive scale to help the coach make a game plan.
Yes, absolutely. You know, like I was saying, coaches only have so many hours a day. Whatever you can take off their plate, if you were to sit there and say, this is the strength of this team's defense, these are the players to attack. That takes out probably 2 hours of like just evaluating the player. They know what to attack and they go right to it. So doing something like that, it would be beneficial.
Thank you. Let's go to the middle.
Yeah, it's Adrian from North Carolina. My question to you is, with the trend now starting to be where players are starting to represent themselves in contract negotiation, do you find that it's easier to work directly with that player, or is it better to go through representation through an agent?
I've only had to do that a couple times so far, and that's a great question because it is difficult, especially when it's one of your own players, and you're trying to determine what the value is, and you're trying to put them, you try to find what the market is, like who are the players around them, who are the comps, what are your strengths and weaknesses, and a lot of times that's really a difficult conversation to have with one of your current players. So it is easier to have a third party. We were in Seattle when Richard Sherman came out and did that. He had a negotiation with John Schneider. And a lot of times with an agent, you can just be very blunt. You have great relationships with agents. There's a lot of honesty. There's a lot of conversation. It's not the same way with the player. So it's a new world that we're trying to navigate.
Here.
Hey, Scott, John Patrick, League Access Sports Management. My question for you, the Panthers being a rebuilding team, you being a GM, what goes into figuring out risk versus reward with a player that's been productive for you in the past but has injury concerns, for example, Christian McCaffrey, to get either trade value or is he a part of the future? Is essentially.
So as far as Christian, I think he's one of the best players in the NFL. So
Yeah.
we're a much better team with him with the ball in his hands. I think each injury you have to treat individually. Some are just freak injuries. If you have multiple soft tissue injuries, you have to look at what's happening. What are you doing training wise? And you want to assess the whole situation. Not everybody is built the same way, so you have to build plans for each body.
Okay, we're gonna keep going and run a timeline here, so don't keep adding, every time I turn around and cheat on me. Let's go to your question.
Hey, Ethan Kazner, University of South Florida. First of all, I respect you a lot. I want to thank you for being here. And my question is, in your honest opinion, what would you say is the most desirable trait or attribute you need to be an NFL general manager?
You have to love it. You have to have a lot of passion because it's a grind, and they're long hours. And I know it looks flashy from the outside, but it's really hard on the inside. That time management, and then managing people. You have to have good problem solving skills because as a GM, it's not football all the time. I do less football now than I've ever done in my life. It's probably 70 to 80% problem solving. So it's just being able to think on your feet, manage people, and then just have that work ethic to grind.
Great stuff, right here.
Hi, I'm Sky Baines. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina. So as a GM, when you're working on projects and executing them, when you have a low budget or low resources, how do you come up with ways to stay on top of it and not fall behind and lose that money?
I think when you go back and look at Moneyball, the way the Oakland A's did it, you have to find where are the inefficiencies in the market. What's our advantage? What do we have that other teams don't have, or you have to think differently? And it's just however that may be, because everyone's going to be fishing in the same pond over here. So where do we go over here and find our advantage?
I love it. Go over here. You guys are doing a good job. Go ahead.
Austin Cundiff, Richmond, Virginia. You touched on family, and my biggest concern about getting into this industry is being a single dad. Is there any tips or words of wisdom for people like me?
Yeah.
And what do you do culture-wise with your program with the family? Because everybody has their own values. That's a good question.
It's a good question. It's a really hard question. It's a very personal question. It's something that maybe you have to work out relationships in your life to figure out, Are you able to do that? If not, is there something else I can do along the lines in the game? In terms of our organization, we have a player development program. We're really starting to build that, put a lot of emphasis on that. Nicole Tepper, who's our owner, that's a real pet of hers, and she's going to help grow that. But having that community and that family is really big. One, because of players, you want them to feel welcome. Two, it helps with retaining players because you do have a sense of community. Three, like these players need support. They're 23, 24 years old. You know, they're away from home a lot of times for the first time. They were 5-star guys that have been recruited and coddled their whole life, and now they're on their own fighting for a job, and they're in a short window to make money. So you need to support them the best you can.
And you know, Scott, some of the organizations more culturally and family centric than others. You know, stories and everything. And I think it's really healthy because I don't think you have to give up your family to be successful in sports, as you have. Go ahead over here.
Mr. Fitterer, how are you? And John, how are you? Good seeing you. Doing well. So Temple University, Philadelphia. So we had Adam Schefter here earlier today and talked about the idea of denial and rejection to keep moving forward. And I would say, when talking about your personal career, have you dealt with that early on, and how did you deal with it moving forward?
Well, absolutely. You know, as a player, like I said, I wasn't a good enough football player. So I knew I loved football. I wanted to play baseball. I was better at it. But I love football. And since I wasn't going to be a player, what else could I do? And that opportunity happened with the Giants. I got my foot in the door. The other thing, as far as rejection, you know, I interviewed for 3 or 4 GM jobs, you know, prior to getting this one. And, you know, you think that after the first 1 or 2, you're like, what am I doing wrong? Like, am I not qualified? No, it's just not the right fit for them. Once you find the team that fits you and you fit them, and somewhere that they want you, it's great. It'll work out. You just got to keep your head down, keep doing the job that you have, and not always trying to get that next job.
Great advice, right?
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Alex Fujawa from Wisconsin. Excuse me. Curious. Obviously, it's mock draft season. It's draft season. How does that work for you guys? No, not in the slightest. But my question is, like, how many contingency plans and different simulations do you guys go through leading up to the draft to make sure that you're prepared for literally anything that can happen?
You have to, because there's not enough time when you're on the clock. So you have to. It starts now. Like, what are the options? So we want to have as many options on draft day as possible. Because you can say, hey, listen, we're picking 6. Hey, I want to trade back. I want to go back to like 12. Well, what if the phone doesn't ring? You sit there. You better have options ready. And then if you're stuck and your players aren't there and you have to go to a different position, how do you fix that on your team if you haven't done that in free agency yet? So you have to have like a vision of what can happen, what do you want to happen, and what do you do if it doesn't happen, and what's your fallback? So you're always like
good stuff. Go ahead.
I do Dennis from Charlotte, North Carolina. I accepted the general manager scouting course a little over a year ago, and through that I was able to talk to Doug Williams at the Sam Washington football team, trying to get into coaching. I aspired to be an NFL head coach. I'm 52 years old, so not coaching in football, knowing people, what have you. I coached John C. Smith as a volunteer running back coach. Have you guys come up with any kind of plans for reaching out in the community, picking up coaches that's right here in your own backyard, as opposed to guys reaching out former players?
Go ahead. It's a good question about community involvement and with all what we're going through with diversity and everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can't. There are ways to do that. You can come in and volunteer and help out during like OTAs and during training camp and do different things like that. Just to get your foot in the door. After that, it's kind of up to you and up to, is there a position available? It's not like we have unlimited funds, even though it's the NFL, you think there's all this money. There's only so many spots we have. And, but we can talk after this if you would like.
But I talked, he's doing a great job. He went to the HBCU, but I also talk about the ecosystem of college. That's how you get into that system and everything. And
that's like, yeah, I mean, how far are you from University of Charlotte?
I stay east, Monroe, Village Lake, probably 20 minutes from my town. So I also work for Piedmont, so I was a volunteer at Johnson Smith.
So let's like, get in the door, you'll meet scouts, and then like I say.
Good job. 3 more questions here. Liz, help me out on time. Okay, but I don't want to chase Scott, but I think he's got some trade deadlines here. Go ahead.
How you doing, sir? Michael Zachary, University of Louisville. I just wanted to ask you a question about